Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com, and once again I am in the sun. The sun is shining directly into my camera, but don't worry, it will be temporary because the sun will turn a little bit. So look, this is a quick little video intro for the webinar which is going to happen in a few moments. So hey, stick around. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session. And what can I say? Finally, everybody's coming to their senses. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a little bit more in the webinar right now. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello again. Good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And once again, I am in the sun. Look, it's very interesting that I tried to cover the sun today, but basically there's a little gap in between where I did not cover, and exactly through that little piece, the sun is coming through. Anyway, look. Don't get me wrong, I will be in this little heavenly picture for now, for just a little bit, for a few more minutes. The sun will turn eventually, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to everybody. Hello, good morning. My name is, like I said, my name is Darius Anucauskas, and I am very happy to present to you the show, the Markets Talk. Not something new, but certainly a show where we discuss events. Feel free to comment as always. It's an interactive session. If you have any ideas you want to put out there, feel free to message me here in the chat, in the live chat, yeah. We'll go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an interesting day. Finally, yep, it's an interesting day. Finally, the world is coming to its senses that these valuations are ridiculous, and this whole AI thing is a bit of a problem, to which I have been saying, and I was talking about this, but of course about all this in a little bit more in a moment. But first, let's go through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I hope you can hear me and see me well apart from the sunlight dropping in directly into my camera. But okay, that's look, we'll fix that. It's just a minor little thing here. In the meantime, I will put my usual good morning in the chat room. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you feel free to comment, feel free to message me here during the show, during live. I will try to answer all your questions. Yeah, look, also just before we go any further, as always, yeah, let's not forget a quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. So, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, the economic calendar, what we're seeing today so far. So this morning we got the Australia's S&P Global Composite and Services PMIs, which came out, it's debatable. They came out better than the forecast, let's say on the services side. Better than the previous, but worse than the forecast. So somewhere in between, right? It's okay. Look, it's nothing bad. We're still above 50. In a way, I think that this is still good. Why? Despite being closer to the 50 side, but given that we are seeing such similar numbers from other countries, especially the US, coming out a little bit on the lower side, now that's a little bit worrying, because as you know, on Monday we got the ISM manufacturing PMI from the US, and that was a bummer. 48.7 against the 49.5 expected. So we got the bad number here on the US side, because like I said, I was talking about this on Monday. I was telling you to keep an eye on it because, again, it's one of the important metrics here. And yeah, that was a little bit of a bad one, which, to be honest, kind of understandable. There are issues, and we understand that Those issues are trying to be fixed with the help of tariffs, but again, it's a tricky one. Anyway, so coming back to today's data, a rating dog composite and services PMIs from China. Look at this composite, a little bit lower than the previous. The services PMI actually look still okay because yes, again higher than the forecast but lower than the previous. Germany factory orders. Fantastic, not a bad move here. You know, look at this, plus 1.1% against the previous minus 0.4. So that's a good sign here. Now we're stepping into, in about 46 minutes, 45 minutes, yep, we're going to be getting the German and the Eurozone overall composite and services PMIs. Now, UK is going to be in that front as well, also delivering similar numbers. So keep your eyes on those. We have, like I said, we have services and services and composite PMIs coming out. PPIs are coming out from the Eurozone very quickly. We'll see what's going to happen there. The expectation is for slightly higher numbers. Okay, let's see. But look, normally with the Eurozone numbers, they kind of tend to come out the same as forecasts. So not really something, you know, spectacular to consider here. Let me just shift this camera a little bit. What if I do it this way a little bit? Okay, I shifted myself here, but anyway, at least you know the sunlight. I'll be shifting the camera as well back into its position. So yeah, look, then going further down the line today, we get the usual every week MBA 30-year mortgage rate. Now, look, one thing that I have to mention that ADP is coming out. That's very, very important. I did a little mistake, I think, on Monday because I was kind of talking about the JOLTS, and I have to kind of rectify myself very quickly because what I was saying that, you know, we're gonna get JOLTS and ADP, but we're not gonna get the NFP, but you know we didn't get the JOLTS as well, so we have to kind of, you know, accept that little mistake by myself. So I was kind of under the impression that we're gonna get the JOLTS, but stupidly, I understand that the JOLTS are also delivered by, you know, the U.S. the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So there we go. We don't get the JOLTS. Anyway, so like I said, that's my bad. But we had like a bunch of other data, and so yesterday in general the market was very interesting. We had the interest rate decision from Australia that came, it was the same 3.6. Today we're getting, sorry, not today, Thursday, we're getting the BoE. Something to keep in mind if you are trading something pound related or the FTSE. So because those guys are in there expecting to keep the rate unchanged at 4%. But what I was saying on Monday to you that this little piece, this little part will be an interesting number for me because basically how many people are going to be, how many members of the committee will be in favor of the cut, you know. So is this going to stay 3 or actually is it going to shift more towards 4? We'll see. Because yesterday we know that the Rachel Reeves delivered its speech about the upcoming budget at the end of the month. And honestly, you know, you can say whatever you want. If you were listening to that speech, it's I don't know, why do you do something like that? In general, like you're talking vaguely about like it seems like you're treating people that the people are very stupid, and you're trying to kind of pet them, like, yes, we're doing it, it's all for greater common good and everything. But when you're asked about directly, are you going to drop, are you going to increase taxes and everything, you go away from that, right? Instead of like you don't use the correct word. So why the hell are you just in general having this whole speech for what? If you're not going to even say that you're going to increase taxes, because that's the whole point. But you're constantly focusing on like how this is going to be. I get it, it's politics, I understand, but honestly, it's like everybody's getting fed up with all this, like this is what they're feeding us with, but in general, like I said, it's an interesting time that we're going through in a way. I think that everybody needs to remember that that this is a historic period, and this is what I said a few sessions ago, and when I was talking a few weeks ago when I was talking about gold and silver, that we were hitting these crazy levels, and said to like whatever comes up must come down. The same story with the market, with the stock market, and let me just one moment, let me just jump into that one. But first, so I want to come back to the ADP, which we're expecting today. There we go. So and also the ISM services PMI. Now this is going to be an interesting number. Look, if by any chance this somehow drops below 50, I mean, because the expectation is for a higher number, fair enough. You're expecting, a higher number, but actually the previous one was just bang on 50. I mean, it was bang on 50. We have been declining for some time, and last time in June we came out in below 50. So let's see if we're going to actually come out above 50.8. I don't want to rush into things, ladies and gentlemen, but if we're comparing it to the ISM manufacturing, maybe it will show us the direction that there is a little bit of bearishness and a little bit of a problem in the service sector. Anyway, look, long story short, today keep your eyes on the ADP, keep your eyes on the ISM. These could be market movers, especially ADP, which is expected to come out on the positive side at 25K. I'm not rushing into things. Maybe ADP was asked to present some good numbers this time, so I don't know. We'll see. Because in general, if it does come out again in negative territory, I don't know. To me, it means that although we don't want to gauge ADP to NFP, but this time, if you're having, let's say, another negative number, it's like 4 in general this year, and I really doubt that NFP would remain somehow in positive territory. Honestly, it would just kind of be weird to see that. Anyway, so yeah, let's jump into the market. Let's jump into indices. So we're getting that sell-off here in Nikkei. Look at this major decline we experienced, dropped all the way to almost the 49,000. So look, when I was talking about this, I said, look, keep your eyes on this. We retraced yesterday on Monday when I was talking about this on my Markets Talk show. I was saying that okay, Monday was an off day for Japan, but then on Tuesday it opened up and it sold off. But then on Tuesday it sold off. Then today, this morning, I mean, it was a wow of a move. Look at this. Look, it's all coming, it's all kind of opening up, and it's all already kind of, everybody's starting to see that there is a problem with all this AI spending. And honestly, with all this AI, everybody, I think the government, as I'll stick to my words, that the government shutdown was a convenient place for all the, convenient time for all the major companies, all the big boys, to go and make some deals. Because how can your stocks rally if everybody's worried about the labor market? And the labor market is something to be worried about. So like I said, and this government shutdown, this convenience of not receiving bad data, and I believe that the data is bad, it's kind of allowed all these major big boys to hit, for some of them to hit their all-time highs. And if you understand who I'm talking about, so these guys here, look at this, went beautifully all-time high. This company, which finally justice is kind of getting served here, declined, because it went. These valuations, I mean, these are like I would say crazy in a way. Oh, why is it? It's not closed. Look at this. I mean, NVDA reached 5, right? Apple kind of reached 4 trillion, and Microsoft. So these major companies, these are, like I said, their valuations. These your Microsofts, your Alphabets, your NVIDIAs, and your Apples. Yes, they do. They have a business, and the business is working. The only thing is that I think that they kind of struck these kind of they found headwinds, and they suddenly decided, oh, we need to do something, we need to make some big announcements. And everybody who was not lazy enough, just everybody made a deal with OpenAI, because OpenAI was almost collected $1 trillion, I think, in deals recently. It's honestly it's like crazy. This is like an article in CNBC that I saw. I mean, I saw this information already earlier, but I found an article. So basically, just a few examples here that is like racked up around 1 trillion in deals. It's like up to 1 trillion. Um, so OpenAI confirmed that it would pay Oracle 300 billion for computer infrastructure. Then this deal is part of a 500 billion data center project with Stargate. SoftBank contributing, then OpenAI and deal in CoreWeave, 22 billion deal, and with NVDA they did a deal. Broadcom, honestly, like it is just crazy. Microsoft, I think no, Microsoft, was it Microsoft or something? No, it was Amazon. Amazon, they recently like this announced a deal with Amazon. It's like a direct competitor of Microsoft. Microsoft has ownership of OpenAI. It's the world. Look, I don't want to say anything, but if somebody's gonna, if it would be, let's say, smaller companies out there, right? Probably everybody would be already accused of like some sort of money laundering or some sort of schemes, like running behind in the background, and prosecutors would be all over this, right? But because it's a lot of major giants, tech giants, listed giants, where the world has a lot of shareholders, everybody's invested into, where they're buying their Googles and Nvidias. Although they see that there's something bad happening, but it's ramping up the stock price, right? So hey, dance with the devil. So that's what I'm saying. So this is, like I said, this is so weird, and we are going through the period where the market has, like I said, overvalued a lot. Now, do I believe that it's like that's it? It's time for a major sell-off or something like that? No, I still do not think so, because I think I'm bearish overall. I mean, because this cannot last for too long. But what I say right now, no, not yet. I think that we have a little bit of juice in all this, because I think that they will pull off something, unless we start getting very bad US data. Then maybe we could see a little bit of a correction back down. Anyway, so we had Google delivering great results. Google delivering great results. Honestly, like last week we hit a new all-time high on Google, and almost hitting that 300. And what is it? Amazon is also like moving like crazy. It's also all-time high. So in general, everybody was, like I said, doing these major deals. Like these stocks, like if you look at their monthly charts, these are parabolic. And honestly, I will stick to my words that whatever comes up must come down, and this is what we're seeing. Look, Nvidia in general had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row of rallies. A little bit of profit taking, maybe. MSFT, let's have a look at these guys. Now, okay, these are moderate, but let's say Meta, this one's the one that got pulled first. And look at the stock. There we go. Beautiful thing. Boom, to the downside. It's called justice, So because Meta was one of those that started like crazy. I think it was like 800, 700 billion or something that they slashed. I can't remember exactly on there. What was it? Need to double check. Wait, putting, because I think it was 50 year and was not with investment scale. Okay, so this scale, they bought this 20. They put in general. I can't remember how much. 27 billion. No, sorry, not that. Then that can. 27 billion. Meta to spend 65 billion this year to power AI goals. Right. Meta for. Yeah. So okay, no, wait. I mean, Meta pays 250 million to lure 20. Okay. There's 250 million. Okay, not billion. So 27 billion. So we're talking about 65 billion. So we're adding these little numbers in general. So I'm sorry, not 700, 800. No, that was already maybe I over exaggerated a little bit. But what I'm saying is that the amounts are ridiculous, and is this justifying the whole kind of thing? I don't know. Look, I said it before and I'll say it again. They were trying to find big banks to invest. They invested, and I think the big banks were investing exactly that moment. They were ramping up the price. So you can feel the logic here, right? I mean, you can understand the way kind of the big money works. So first it's institutional money, right? Then they go in, the institutional money start pouring into a company. The company elevates, the stock rallies. Institutional money is enjoying the profits. Then we see companies releasing corporate bonds. They believe in the product and what they're going to deliver, and this is also ramping up the price. Then they jump into private equity. So basically taking money from from the little person, from the smaller players, and this is now when we start when the little person is kind of in getting into the game. He's kind of already late to the game. So, and we, like I said, just last week, before that, we started hearing that how they're trying to get private funding, private equity, and everything, and they're acquiring this, acquiring that. They're getting more money, and then boom, now we're seeing this week a correction, a little bit of a correction. So, look, it's always the same game, right? I mean, you always need to be careful whenever everybody starts talking about it. This is where you need to start thinking, okay, it's time for me to get out. So, ladies and gentlemen, so coming back to my indices here, Nikkei 225, we did a nice correction, tested the 20-day SMA here within the Bollinger Bands on my daily chart here. We rebounded. So look, as long as we stay above it, then there is a chance still for a recovery and a push back to the upside. So maybe they will come up with something saying that maybe we're doing this now, we're doing that now. Maybe everybody will pay somebody like a respected agency to say that okay, we are everything is still fine. This AI is a real thing, so everybody will be, oh, okay, it's a real thing, and then let's go back into the game. But what was interesting yesterday, actually, what I heard that Michael Burry, the guy, if you don't know him, the guy who's basically called out the big financial crash of 2007, and this guy, he actually he put his 80% of his portfolio, from what I understood, into Palantir puts. So basically, he's betting against the stock. And again, we don't know the time, but he's betting against the stock. I don't know if it was just a quick trade or what was it, but yep, he's betting against the stock. And we know that he did something similar back in 2006, where he started calling it out. And then, after a year, basically we had a financial crisis. So, not saying anything, but of course, there's a lot of people who are talking about 2026 being a bad year. But again, will it be? Let's wait and see. For now, of course, we understand that a lot of stocks have been elevated a lot. So, I don't want to say anything bad here, but the tech bubble, is it going to burst? Look, the tech is still here to stay. It's not going to disappear anywhere, but these big moves in tech that we're seeing right now, maybe a little bit of profit taking, I think that could be still on the table. But again, it's it could be part of the correction. China 50, Shanghai Composite, there we go. We are pushing back up here a little bit, so still everything is okay. Dow Jones Industrial Average, so yesterday we declined. Look at this. I talked about it, and let me just double check where we are right now. What is interesting here happening? Wow, Novo Nordisk is exploding to the upside. I mean, okay, we don't have here the numbers here, but basically they came out with some earnings this morning, and they were not very good. But I can see that the market is moving really nicely here on Novo Nordisk. So, okay, this is quite astonishing. This is quite spectacular. Look, the AMD story yesterday as well. They delivered very good earnings yesterday, and these guys are seeing their stock getting hit a little bit. So it's currently somewhere around 239, something like that. So okay, we'll see how it plays out there. But yeah, certainly we're seeing some positivity in Novo Nordisk, despite the miss that we saw this morning. Anyway, but coming back to Dow Jones Industrial Average here. So look, I'm seeing Nasdaq actually picking up the pace here, but it's below the price here. It's below this 25,430, but still, it reached this area, this 25,180 zone here. Fantastic hold up here this morning on the cash index, and we rebounded back up. So we're now back around 25,400. So a little bit below where we closed yesterday. Now it's going to be an interesting move here, but we're seeing a little bit of recovery happening right now. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let me just check. US 30. 47,150 right now. So we're above this hurdle. This is a key area of support. I talked about this, ladies and gentlemen. On Monday, I said that if we do drop and stay below it, I'm going to lean towards the downside. But if we remain above that area, there is still hope for the bulls. So you know what? We can actually do this in a way. One thing that I want to do as well is I want to draw this downside line. Now it's a little bit of a tentative one, but I would say it this way. Yes, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement back up right now in the cash index, but if we stay below this downside line taken from the high of the 30th of October, if we do break this downside line, I will get a little bit more excited with the upside. But for now, there is still hope for the bears, to be honest, because again, as long as we stay below this downside line, then yes, the trend remains, the short-term trend remains lower. However, if we do clear this 47,000 kind of 100 territory somewhere here, then yeah, I'm leaning towards the downside. S&P 500, like also good move, tested the 20-day SMA. Let me just double check where we are right now. So we are around 6,700 and 6,770 zone. So basically we did move lower here. We tested this area this morning. Yep, I can see that, and we rebounded. What I was talking about on Monday, I said that if we do drop and stay below this zone right here, then yeah, I'm gonna lean towards the downside. But again, I would prefer to see a drop below the 20-day SMA, and then we'll get a little bit more comfortable with higher levels, with lower levels. Sorry, with higher levels. So I was already ahead of myself. I need a break of this downside line. Yep, and a push back above the 6,820 zone, somewhere around there. Nasdaq, yep, big decline. There we go. Yes, I talked about this on Monday. I said, look, we're in somewhat of a range. A clearance through one of the sides of the range here could attract a few more sellers or buyers here. So if we do clear one of the sides, then yes, we could consider the next short-term directional move. So for now, I mean, look, this worked out. My target was here, 25,195. Did we reach? Did we reach that? I think we did. Let me just double check. US 100. So did we reach that area? 25,170. Yeah, actually, boom. There we go. Spectacular move. Spectacular test of this area, rebound. And now we're back towards the, yes, like I said, almost the same where we closed yesterday. So in general, we made the move. I talked about this little drop between 25,700 and this. Good results here. Is it time for a little bit of a retracement back up? Now look, I'm not going to rush into things, okay? Because we're in this, like I said, we're in this little crazy period right now where the valuations are, everybody's picking up on the valuations. So again, maybe we could see a little bit more downside here to come, but again, only as long as we stay below the 25,700. If we do continue to trade below that area, I'm leaning towards the downside. If we somehow climb back above it, well, could be an option here for me to consider slightly higher areas. The German index DAX, so there we go. We did drift lower yesterday, but it was a gap to the downside. We filled it, we pushed higher, but in general, this kind of worked out nicely. The 24,000 zone, I talked about it. I said that if we do drop and stay below it, yep, I'm going to lean towards the downside. My next target is going to be the 23,684 tick, and then if that gets cleared, I'm going to go lower towards the 23,284.85 zone. So look, I think I'm going to stick to my words, but this time, given that we already kind of did this move to this area and we rebounded, so this is going to be my gateway towards lower levels. So if we do clear this area, this is the low of 17th of October. If we clear it, then yes, I'm going to go to the down. That's actually, by the way, the lowest point of October. There we go. Interesting. Yep. Oh yeah, that actually is. It is the lowest point of October. So keeping a very close eye on this area, this level, the 23,684. If that gets cleared, amazing, more sellers could join in. The FTSE 100, beautiful rebound, beautiful push back up. Yep, what can I say? We stayed above the 9,696. We stayed above this hurdle. And the question for me right now is, well, the FTSE seems to be kind of okayish, and I think the FTSE is waiting for the BoE. Now, look, let's not rush into things, but certainly we're watching the BoE. We want to see what's going to happen there, and most importantly, we want to see if they're going to be in favor of more cuts. So, if they will be in favor of more cuts going further, then okay, we could see maybe the FTSE kind of pushing a little bit back up here. Oh, the sun is cleared. There we go. We could see a little bit of a move back up, but in general, how is that going to be enough to keep the FTSE 100 afloat if this whole stock market is collapsing? The FTSE is not going to, oh no, I'm not going to go anywhere lower. No, of course they will. It's like I said. So the Bank of England moment could be a short-lived moment. So just kind of keep that in mind. But for now, what's interesting here is that this 9,696 is holding. So as long as we stay above it, then yeah, there is a good chance we could go back up here. But if we do drop below it, I'm going to lean towards the downside. Let's jump into DXY. My 100 level got reached fantastically. Look at this. I am very happy. I've reached my 100.25 zone as well, which is the highest point of August here. I talked about it a lot last week, this week, in the beginning of this week. So mission accomplished. I was aiming for some higher levels. I said if we do clear this 99.14, it opens the door towards that 99.56 tick. Then if that gets cleared, I'll aim for my 200-day EMA first. Of course, I'll aim for the psychological 100 level. Then I'm going to aim for the this 100.25 zone, and then we'll take it from there. So for now, everything seems to be working out nicely. Maybe a little bit of correction here could be nice, but you know what, the fact that we're still staying above the 200-day EMA, I think that there is a chance for a further move north. Now, what I said to you recently, about like 3 weeks ago or something, in my videos here on YouTube, I was saying, where is that? Look at this. Where is that? Gold. Can DXY steal the thunder from gold in the near term? 3 weeks ago. This is what I kept on saying, and I will say it again, that I believe that yes, and boom, there we go. So far, it is taking the shine. The greenback is taking the shine, and well, gold is kind of on the back end. But for how long, we don't know. Look. For now, it's this, that I think that yes, the US dollar will remain on the stronger side. Why? Because you need, I keep on saying this, you need to please your US consumer. If you cannot deliver jobs, well, at least you need to give something. So especially during this holiday season when everybody's going to be spending, and if you're if your dollar does not travel far, that means that you're going to blame the government, right, for that. So this is a little gift that they're going to do for the U.S. consumer. Do I still believe that the US dollar can be bearish? Yes, because why? Because they're going to try to focus on their exports and to make imports more expensive. So, if you have a cheaper US dollar and you have tariffs on as well, so, you're not going to really benefit from ordering abroad. So that's the whole point, ordering inside the country. So forcing the consumer to do this. Anyway, will this backfire? We'll see. For now, we're watching the show. And for now, I'm looking at DXY and kind of considering slightly higher areas. Maybe even a move towards, this little actually, you know what? I actually prefer this 100.59-ish zone. If we clear the 100.25, yep, my next target is the 100.59. The VIX, actually, this is something for you to keep in mind because this one started pushing higher because, again, we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off. So keep your eyes on it. We might see a boost back up, or maybe this has been kind of that's it, enough for this month. Maybe that was the maximum that we went through, but hey, October was a volatile one. Again, maybe mid-November we could see some increased volatility, a push above 20, but at the moment let's not rush into things. For now, let's keep an eye on this, and certainly like I said, I want to see if we can somehow stay above all my EMAs here on my daily chart. So especially the 200-day EMA, which is around 18. So yeah, if we do stay, interesting. Maybe we could see further move north. But in general, I think it's not really like the technical side of it. You don't really apply technical analysis on this. So in a way, you're monitoring the market. What's happening in the market. If the market is selling off, we'll see the volatility, the fear index traveling a little bit higher. Let's jump into gold. Sorry, not gold, not gold yet. Currencies. Let's jump into currencies, ladies and gentlemen. AUDUSD. So there we go. We drifted lower. I said to keep your eyes on this. If we do break back below this downside line, we do fall back below the 0.6520 territory, then yep, great. I will consider a move back down. And there we go. Look at this. This upside line once again did a fantastic job. So this upside line provided good support. We rebounded from it. So what I need here is a break of this upside line in order to consider lower areas. There we go. Did we get the break? No, not yet. So let's see if we can get the break. If we can get the break, then yes, the 0.6415 is my next good target. If that gets cleared, I'm going to go further south. For the upside, I would prefer to actually to wait for a push back of the 0.6520 here. If I can get that move, I'll go to the upside. AUDNZD, one of my favorite pairs. There we go. Beautiful move to the upside here. Australia, yep, continues to perform better than New Zealand, and we can see here. So this kind of idea worked out nicely when I talked about this falling wedge pattern. There we go. We got the break. We got the move higher, and now the question is where are we gonna hold? Now look, I think we already found the area. Look at this. Look at this spectacular move here. This was back in 2022 in September. At the end of September, we reached this 1.1490 zone. There we go. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This time we pierced through it, but now the question is, can we see a reversal back down? Well, to be honest, as long as we stay below this 1.1490 zone, I will consider actually a move back down. So I'm going to make this call here. If we do stay below it, I'm going to consider a move back down. Now, question, how much of a correction am I considering? Well, actually, I'm going to consider a move somewhere back to the 20-day SMA within my Bollinger Band. This way, I mean, wherever is going to be. And by the way, not exactly the exact level where it is, but just closer to the 20-day SMA. It might not touch the 20-day SMA, it might just come close and then reverse back up. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, long story short, for now, looking at this, but I'm seeing this fantastic area of resistance. But if that gets cleared, ladies and gentlemen, it is opening the door towards the this little hurdle right here, the highest point of 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, the highest point of 2015 near the 1.1682. If that gets cleared, it is spectacular. Look, in general, what happened during the financial crisis, we saw the pair kind of, rallying, and when the times were kind of not very great, we saw initial decline because, again, the Australian dollar is a risk currency and it got hit quickly. It corrected lower, but then it was time for a New Zealand dollar to feel the pain. So initially there was a reaction because just in general, AUD is it's more a popular risk currency, and that's why you get the first hit. But then it stabilizes. Then everybody's looking. Oh wait, so who else is in there? Oh, NZD is also a risk currency, right? Let's drop down, and this is where AUD NZD starts pushing back up. So look. Long story short, for now, we're seeing a push higher, and looking at the monthly charts here, monthly candles here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 7th candle. So my question is actually, can we do the next one? I mean, the 8th one to the upside again, or actually, are we gonna hold below the highest point of 2022 and then maybe a reverse back down? Let's see. For now, last time I saw this in March of 2022, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, 7 candles to the upside, and then the 8th one was a reversal back down. So, but a major reversal. Look at this drop. I mean, wow, it kind of wiped out a lot. So another thing is that, like I said, monthly chart looks a little bit overstretched here, but again, we don't know. Maybe it's going to overstretch, maybe it's not. So let's not over speculate. Let's wait for this to see. Let's wait and see what's going to happen with this 1.1490 zone. AUDJPY, when do I? Yes, of course, is selling off. Because why? Because everybody suddenly remembered that the Japanese yen is a risk. Is a safe haven, and everybody remembered that when the times are bad, where do you seek value? Well, you seek it in safe havens, the so-called forgotten Japanese yen and the DXY. So there we go. We got the move here. AUD, yes, sold off. Japanese yen was bought. But we found good support here. So look, I said to you before, and I'll say it again, if we do break this upside line, we'll go lower, but if we don't, there is a chance for a push higher, push back up. That said, I will get more comfortable with the upside if we do clear this 101 territory. Let's jump into EURUSD. Let's check what's happening in there, what kind of madness we're having. Euro is weird. It is just, yeah. Okay, look, in general, so far so good. Because what I was saying earlier, that a drop below the 1.1542 there, it opens the door towards the 200-day EMA and the 1.14 zone. That's what I'm going to aim for. Honestly, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But for now, that's what I'm aiming for, so I'm going to stick to that. And that's the lowest point of July. Hey, I think it's a good target. Let's see if we can reach that. EUROJPY, yep, beautiful decline as well. So we're in the box still. If we look at the weekly, you'll see that it's beautifully sitting still in the box. I need an exit from the box. Yep. I need the box to get cleared. One of the sides. And I need to see this time I need to see the weekly candle, the body of the weekly candle staying outside of the box. If I can see that, great. I'll consider the next short-term directional move in the direction of the break. Let's jump into Euro NZD, one of my favorite ones actually. There we go, beautiful move here. Look, I want to get rid of actually a few lines here. This one, yep, no longer needed. We're done with that. I'll keep the other ones because the other ones are still in play. But if we somehow stay above the 2.03 territory, I'm going to consider a move to the upside here. If we do drop below this steeper upside line, which is drawn from the low of the 10th of June, then yeah, I'm gonna consider a move back down. Let's jump into GBP, and this is gonna be the pair to watch. Yesterday, honestly, Rachel Reeves just did magic with, for the bears, and there we go, boom, to the downside. We're seeing a little bit of recovery, but to be honest, look, I talked about this hurdle, the 1.3140. I said if we do break that, because that's the lowest point of August, if we do clear that, my next target is the 1.3015. Amazing test, amazing hit here, so I cannot really complain. Now the next target is the psychological 130 zone, but to be honest, I think if we clear the 130, I think there is a chance for a move towards the 1.29 or even below the 1.29, 1.2862. I think this is a good area of support. But again, first let's deal with the one psychological 130 zone. Let's jump into Euro GBP. I do not like that pair. I still look at it honestly. It's like hate and love relationship, love and hate relationship. So this one's continuing to push higher, and I don't want to say anything, but maybe this could remain elevated at least for a little bit more. Let's jump into USDCAD. USDCAD very quickly pushing higher. There we go. Boom. Like I said, the US dollar is getting the upper hand here, is strengthening. It's actually good for the Canadian exports, because if they're selling a lot to the US, hey, Canadian exports right now are becoming even more attractive. Because the US dollar is strengthening against the Canadian dollar, US citizens can afford more. So maybe Canada could be the place to travel, for Christmas. So maybe they can, enjoy the moment this way, and they can take advantage of this in a way. So also the oil market, which is a little bit unstable, and it's also kind of adding a little bit of weakness to the Canadian dollar, because we understand the Canadian economy really depends on a lot of oil exports. Anyway, for now, long story short, I'm leaning towards the upside, but I am initially I was having this 1.4151 zone, but you know what? I think I'm gonna aim for this little territory. Yep. Wait, just let me know. Yeah, 1.4143. Initially, I'm going to target that, but it's going to be a little pit stop. Could be a little pit stop, but still 1.4180. I think that's going to be a little bit of a better number. But then again, the 1.42 is not far, so why not? But overall, yes, still to the upside, as long as we stay above the 1.4080. If we do drop back below it, I'm going to consider a move lower. USDJPY, beautiful move here. Beautiful push. Beautiful push back up here. What I'm talking about, a rebound from this upside line. So look, it's a battle of the safe havens right now. US dollar against the Japanese yen, and I'm wondering who's going to outpull who. For now, the Japanese yen is kind of winning. In a few days here is winning, but we're still above this upside line. So maybe. The yen could still be on the weaker side against the US dollar. Let's see. For now, like I said, I'm still somewhat positive on this, but if we do break the steep upside line, I'm going to lean towards the lower levels. USDCHF. Honestly, I like this pair. It's a copy of DXY, and it's sometimes can be seen as a hedging tool or something like that. Anyway. Certainly, yes, keep your eyes on this. It's an interesting moment here that we're going through, and I believe that we could see some more upside. As long as we stay above this 0.8076, I'm going to continue targeting the upside. My next target is the 0.8171. Let's jump into gold. There we go. I was waiting for this one. There we go. Look at this. Remember the times when we were rallying like crazy. Every day was a crazy moment, and I said, look, ladies and gentlemen, wait for it. We are, this cannot really drag on for too long. Look, what I'm kind of expecting here, to be honest, and this is something that I would really, really love to see, is if we would actually get another rally. I would love to see another rally, but then a failure to reach the current all-time high, and basically continuous failure, in a matter of, let's say, a week or something, to fail to reach the current all-time high. Ooh, now that would be a nice signal. That would be a nice signal for a possible reversal back down, honestly. It could be a nice little dream come true, you know, because like I said, we had a great run here. We're currently sitting, you know, in the kind of a slightly bearish territory, I would say. We're coiling up a little bit. Also, we are forming something right here. Yep, so something like this, and okay, we're getting into a bit of a squeeze. There we go. Is that going to be the case? We'll see. But long story short, if you're looking for some higher levels, I think that what we need to do right now is at least wait for a pushback above the 4,043, and then we could aim for the 20-day SMA. Even if that gets cleared, amazing. More buyers could join in. Yeah, if we do get a clearance, I will, yeah, actually, you know what? I need to push back above the 20-day SMA here within the Bollinger Band. If I can get that move, great. I'm going to consider slightly higher levels. And this is where my idea of maybe considering, you know, a failure to hit the all-time high again could come in. But again, that's a little bit way too far. First, let's deal with this option, with this I want to say tragedy, but this little thing here, 4,043, 44 zone on the upside. If we can get a nice clearance of that one, I'll go higher. For the downside, I'm going to take a very conservative approach here. I'm going to wait for a drop below the lowest point of October. Is that correct? Wait, actually. Is that, no, that's not the lowest point. The low of the 28th of October, near the 3,886. If we can drop below that, the forthcoming lower low will be confirmed. You can start looking at some lower levels if we do drop below yesterday's low, near the 3,929. Good potential option. But again, you know, then you have this problem with these obstacles. So just kind of be careful, you know. Silver's also stuck here. And look, in general, I said it before and I'll say it again, that we are going through some history here. Look at this. I mean, we, you know, found amazing moves here, like back in 1980, back in 2011, and now this year. Look, I'm talking about the parabolic moves. Parabolic moves of when on the monthly chart you see the monthly candles sitting above the upper bound, above the upper band of the Bollinger Bands, and this is. You know, I'm not saying that, okay, you know, go in short, but I think maybe that we could also still see a push back up towards the, you know, psychological 50 level, but then we'll have to see if it's going to hold or not. Anyway, platinum, ladies and gentlemen, good moves here on platinum. The platinum did form a nice little kind of somewhat of a doji here last month, and we're seeing a nice little retracement back down. For me, the downside scenario is on a drop below the 1,496 to be more precise. If I can get that move, amazing, I'll go lower. Palladium, one of my favorite ones here, did correct back down recently, and even actually today, and I do like the 1,350 level, which is basically here. And if we do drop below that, I'm going to consider a move lower. But if we kind of stay above it, look, I'm from all the metals, even right now, I'm probably the most bullish on this one. It's the kind of the forgotten metal that everybody kind of was like pushing aside because everybody was focusing on gold and silver. So maybe this could have some room for somewhere, you know. Anyway, so this is like an option again for just to consider, and looking at this monthly chart, as long as we stay above the EMAs here on my daily chart, and yeah, I'm going to consider the upside. Sugar also drifting. Oh, nice drift lower on sugar. Look at this, approaching my key area of support right here, which is the current lowest, the lowest point of October. If we clear that, the 14.09, yep, I'm going to lean towards the downside. WTI oil. Now look, for now, I want to say this way, that if we see a drop below the 59.84 zone, I would say this is the point from where I'm going to consider some lower levels. So basically, I talked about this before. The $60 mark is something to be watched. If we do drop below it, yes, great, I'm going to lean towards the downside. But of course, somebody would say, hey, Darius, but what if it's like a nice bullish pennant here? You know, like it's not a flag, it's a pennant. Could it be? Yes, it could be, for sure. But either way, what I would need here to see is at least a break of this upper side of the potential pennant. But then we have this downside line, which is in the way. So maybe all the stars would align, and actually we would get a nice push above the green line here, which is the 50-day EMA here on my daily chart. And maybe at the same time we would break this other downside line, the bigger downside line, and then could open the door. So basically, for a lot of ifs. So I need to basically, long story short, I need to push somewhere above the 61.5 zone. If we can get that move, I think that all the breaks, necessary breaks, would happen, and this way it could open the door to some higher levels. But until I get a push above the 61.5 zone, there is still hope for the bears. Brent oil, similar story. I'm not going to talk too much here, but this one is still holding above the $64 mark. So a nice good drop below the 64 could open the door to some lower areas. Natural gas, we're getting a little bit of a hold up here. Reached the 4.15 zone right here, drifted back down. So okay, we're still very extended to the upside here. But long story short, I would say if we do stay above this 4.15, then there is still a chance for a push further north. Bitcoin, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I have reached my target. And I was talking about this for a while. And basically, where's my Markets.com? Look, last week, a quick technical end of month crypto update. This is what I said to you, and this is what I was watching. This was last week, and I said to you, look, if we do drop below the crossroads of these little two trend lines here, my next target is the 103 zone. If that gets cleared, I'm leaning towards that 50% on the Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn from the lowest point of April to the highest point of October, and basically of this year, of course. And basically, I'm leaning towards that 50%. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We did the 50%. That was roughly around the 100,000 zone. We briefly dropped below the 100,000, and we stayed above that. Now, this is the big key moment. If we're going to drop again below the 50% on the Fibonacci retracement, or basically below that psychological 100,000 zone, if we can drop below that, great. I will, consider some lower levels. I'll go for that 94, 95,000 zone. But if we do rebound, then yes, it could be an interesting one. It could be an interesting option. Look, for me, to get positive on this one, I would actually prefer to see maybe a push back above the 106,500 zone somewhere here. That's around my 38.2. Oh, excuse me, and the Fibonacci retracement. And then, yes, I'm going to consider maybe slightly higher levels. A recent joke that I saw online, and it was, financial jokes, honestly, they're the best. Was that, Bitcoin was selling off, and everybody was shouting that, hey, Bitcoin needs quickly to do a strategic partnership with OpenAI, and, then everything would be fine. So I thought it was funny. Anyway, and then it could be saved. But yeah, it didn't do a strategic partnership with OpenAI, so that's what we're seeing right there. Bitcoin Cash. Beautiful decline. Beautiful. This is what I was talking about. 533 territory. I said wait for this one to drop below that, and then we'll aim for the 500 zone. Tick, and we actually surpassed that. So, well, you know what? In this case, I need to clear. It's getting messy, and I think it's going to be just a simple approach right now. I'm watching this key area of support around the 462.60 zone. It's a beautiful move here, 462, and hey, look, I mean, if at this point, I would say this way that more sellers could join in if we do drop below that hurdle. For now, everything's looking quite bearish. For me to consider maybe the upside scenario, a push back above the 200-day EMA would be needed, but then there is a little bit of an issue here, is this downside line, which could provide resistance. Very quickly on XRP, similar story, dropped below and found good support near the 2.1918 zone here. Look, this is working out like a charm. I said it, I talked about it. So now as long as if we do drop again below this 2.19, I'm going to lean towards the downside. Ethereum, beautiful move to the downside. Again, this is what I was talking about. So beautiful drop below the 200-day EMA. Everything's looking quite nice, and we are kind of aiming for the psychological 3000 zone. Litecoin, you can beautiful drop, amazing here. And what can I say? For now, I'm still going to lean towards the downside as long as we stay below the 90.30 zone. Dogecoin. Oh, my voice is going down because it's saying that, you know what, it's time to wrap it up. Dogecoin, beautiful drop again below the 0.1785. Great. What can I say? I think that more downside could come as long as we stay below this hurdle. And Polkadot, wow, Polkadot, we're dropping below that psychological 3 level, or we remain below the 3, and we're dropping briefly below the 2.5 zone. So hey, at some point this will have to pick up, but at this point, I don't know, we'll see. Tron, again, one of my favorite ones right now. There we go. Look, it did break the upper side of the falling channel, but briefly, but then it struggled with this 0.2985 zone, and we sold off. So I think it's time to remove everything and to have a fresh look. So I think if you're looking for some upside on Tron, a push back above this 0.2985 would be needed. I think at this point, unless it builds up something, but certainly for now, the trajectory is more towards the downside. So again, unless you're investing into this, if you are investing without leverage, then okay, that's also, you can start buying, but little by little, and this way you can build it up. But for now, certainly there is a tendency that there could be some more downside to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, your views, your likes, your comments, everything. Look, I always encourage everybody to to have a chat in the live chat. But okay, look, you know yourselves. You feel free to do whatever you want to do, but I'm just saying that it would be nice if you could actually, jump in the conversation with me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, listening. As always, stay safe, have your stop losses in place, risk only what you can afford to lose, don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. And don't forget about the economic data today. Check out the economic calendar. We have the ISM services PMI. Before that, I will have the ADP, very important. And then tomorrow we have the BOJ. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.